I'm Ed Rabyd, otherwise known as the Rabyd Atheist, a former pastor turned atheist, now a compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. Feel free to like or dislike the video as you see fit, so feel free to hit those buttons. Feel free to comment below, and I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel and hit your notification bell for more content as it is released. You're also free to share my videos as much as you like. The purpose of this channel is educational in regards to deconversion and atheist issues and Bible theology, and whatever else comes up in my mind in relationships to those issues. Today is another one of those moments where I just don't have the time to really do a great video and put some graphics and stuff in it. So that kind of puts like reaction and Life of Christ stuff out of the realm. I'll hopefully have something for this weekend later. But I wanted to do this video because it's the topic of discussion, at least here in the United States with Pride Month, of the whole LGBTQ community, and how, now that I've deconverted, how do I relate to that community a little bit better? Has it changed my viewpoint on and yes, I think it does. One of the things I had to come to grip with very early on with this community, along with other things, is that I had to take a look at the idea of sin, because I didn't really, this was very instrumental in my deconversion, that sin doesn't exist, okay, as a concept outside the Bible. You would never take a scientific study and go look in and find sin. Now, I've had a couple commenters say, well, that's why I believe in sin. I looked at the world and stuff. I said, well, once again, that's almost as bad as your argument from personal experience. You're looking at something outside of that and you're interpreting it in a certain way, and you're basically saying that your interpretation is infallible, whereas I could take that and look at the same information. I would see, evidence of other things, but not necessarily the spiritual concept of sin, because sin ultimately is a spiritual concept, and it's created by other things like religion and attitudes and things like that. And you only really find sin in the Bible, in my opinion. Without that definition, there's nothing for the snake oil salesman to sell. Okay, sin creates this universal concept where everybody fails. In terms of sexuality, I think Jesus does the most damage to that idea with a very simple expression of, even if you look at someone with adultery in your heart, with lust in your heart, you've already committed adultery. Well, Jesus H. Christ, that's going to get rid of how many people, put them in the sin category. I don't get it anymore. A lot of the things that are defined as sin are very harmless. They are just being human. And so when I came to the LGBT community, the Bible tells me that homosexuality is a sin. It tells me other forms of sexuality are also sin. It tells me that men that want to be women, women that want to be men, sin. The list is very long, not just in the Old Testament, but the New. And so I don't, when I hear LGBTQ members that are still part of the Christian community or one of those communities, I have to kind of cringe a little bit and say, yeah, except the Bible does come down pretty hard on homosexuality. It, calls it an abomination in the Old Testament, and Paul makes it very clear that it's not natural and it's a sin, and he puts in his list of sins. So when we have all that, and we have it in front of us, but now as an atheist, I don't have the Bible as an authority. I don't have the preeminent part of my culture saying I need to hate these people, I need to hate that people, and I need to hate those people. So what do I do with that? Well, what it kind of boiled down to is I sat back one day and rationally thought, do I have any rational reason to hate any of these people or dislike them or say what they're doing is wrong? And the answer to that question is no, I don't. There is no rational reason to hate or dislike or think these people are doing anything wrong in the LGBTQ community. If you look at the whole thing, you really begin to realize that a lot of these behaviors, while a minority behavior, are very normal. in any group of population of any kind of animal. There are notable exceptions depending on the type of animal, but homosexual behavior has been observed in other animals, so it's not like human beings would be unique in that regard. So I don't have any scientific basis to really say, well, it's an aberration or anything else. So what am I left with? But there's a great deal of difference. Well, what I'm left with is I don't have any reason to say it's wrong. I don't have any reason to say it's simple. I don't have any reason to say that these people are going to hell, because none of those things are reality to me anymore. So what does that leave for me? Well, it leaves me with a situation where I say, okay, do I have any good reason then to support these people? And the answer to that is yes, I do. As somebody who believes very strongly in innate human rights, people ask me where I think rights come from, and then I've heard this go, well, rights come from the government. And I immediately cringe at that idea for a couple of reasons, because if rights come from whatever prospective national government you are a part of, then when that government violates human rights, then I really don't have any cause to bitch, because those rights haven't been granted by that government to that group of people. And people who criticize the inhumanity of certain governments are openly admitting that rights come from something else other than the government. Okay, they're openly admitting that certain rights are innate to being a human being, any human being. And I believe that regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of, who you think you are, what you think you want to be, you're a human being. And those rights should still be extended. And some people get this notion that somehow those rights shouldn't be extended. So when I look at the whole spectrum of human sexuality, I realize that there's a lot of things that I can support, because I don't have this notion as a libertarian that anybody should be infringing on somebody's freedom simply because they don't like the behavior. I can support gays and lesbians and bisexual people, because who you're attracted to sexually, who you're attracted to romantically, really may not be a lot of your choice. It's your genetic makeup, it's your emotional makeup. I'm not one of those people that say it's all, this is the way the person was born to be. I think choices do have a part of it. I don't play the game of, it's all your decision or it's all your genetic makeup and who you are. I think a lot of who you are ends up being, your choices that you make, plus who you are originally as who you were born to be. And cultural has a lot of influence on who we are too, and we can't deny that. So it's a little bit more complicated and a little bit more nuanced than saying they were born this way or they just made a choice. I think there's a lot of things that go into sexual identity, and it's a lot more complicated than people want to go into. And so rationally, I can support a person searching through that decision-making process and searching through who they are and searching through everything, and I want to be supportive. I don't have a problem with that. I can support a transhuman regardless of which direction they're going. I have some questions, not because this is probably one of those areas where even atheists get a little divided, because they're looking at science and they're asking a lot of questions. And that's where we should be. Until we come up down definitively, scientifically, what's going on here, I don't think anybody on anybody's side should really be doing anything other than say, yes, these people are human beings. They have rights to trans. They have a right to do what they need to do. There's still a lot of questions that we need to answer in a very rational, scientific manner. And most of that, from my perspective, is I want that trans process for the people that are my friends that are trans to be as complete as possible, so that they're truly living in the gender identity as closely as possible as they want to live. And that involves some medical advances, that involves some other things that are advances. Genetics needs to be looked at. Wouldn't it be interesting if somebody could actually literally change their X and Y chromosome to change it out and not have any detrimental effects other than, have the effect of, actually making that transformation complete? That would be interesting, not having to take hormones the rest of your life, not having to take, do all that stuff. that would be a very interesting thing. So I'm very supportive. I have a couple of trans friends, and I'm very cool with them doing what they're doing. It's not my cup of tea because I'm kind of happy being a guy. And then, when I look at some of the other ones, the queer is kind of a catch-all for all the other stuff that seems to be there. And, some people are just not sexual at all. The asexual, interesting ones, the intersexual ones are very interesting too. And I don't have a problem with any of those people because I can acknowledge that scientifically and socially and culturally those people can exist. And just because they exist doesn't mean that they should be extended human rights. And so I can definitely ally myself with any of them and extend that olive branch. Now, people, of course, at this point always ask me, well, what are you? And this is a very interesting topic for me to talk about because I'm still exploring a lot of things for myself. One of the things I can definitely say about my own sexuality is I'm very heterosexual. I like girls. I'm very masculine. I am very happy being a man. I kind of dislike the term toxic masculinity because I think sometimes what people consider to be toxic may very well just be the way men are. At the same time, men have also been taught behaviors that I think they need to really reconsider. And most of it comes down to don't be a dick, don't be a jerk. And allow, sometimes I think as men, we don't listen to women put their perspective on the problem in, or what the feminine put their perspective in. And we probably need to work on our listening skills, but I think that's true of every human being. A lot of human beings need to work on their listening skills, regardless of their gender or their gender identity or whatever. So we need to remember that. So I fall very strong on the heterosexual platform, but in searching that and actually testing myself in that, I've learned that it's really a percentage. It's a sliding scale. I fall very strong on the masculine side and I fall very strong on the heterosexual side, but there's still that percentage at the end that's not quite 100%. And it kind of opened my eyes to the fact that, when we really look at it, it really is situational, and there's certain things that may come up. So that's kind of where I fall. Doesn't mean I can't be an ally, and I'm kind of exploring some other areas that I'm not quite sure about. One thing I can tell you is I'm non-jealous. I actually take a lot of comfort in the fact that a couple of the other women that I've loved before have found other partners and they are in love with those partners and they take a lot of strength from those partners. I'm cool with that, and actually I'm kind of happy for them. So I'm not really even jealous of the other person that's involved in their relationship with them. So I don't really have that jealousy thing, and it's kind of weird, I guess, but I've never felt that way with anybody. But the other thing I'm exploring is I think I am somewhat polyamorous. So that kind of puts me in the community and kind of a side door, I suppose. But I'm very much aware of the issues here and everything else. The one thing I can say for certain, I'm very supportive of this community as they continue their search to find their true identity and to live their true identity. A lot of people are searching. A lot of people are looking. A lot of people are trying to figure out what they are and how they relate to the rest of the world. And this should not be something that we use religion to get in the way of, to stop and, go, hey, you can't do that, or you don't have the right to do that. I just don't see that as long as people are not harming people. I don't, have any really malice or ill will to a lot of these things. And so I want everybody to understand that the change of getting rid of stuff involving Christianity is having to relook at everything in a more rational way and saying, listen, do I have any good reasons to hate anymore? And I'm going to tell you, religion, particularly Christianity, gave me a lot of reasons to hate other people because of their behavior. I don't have that anymore. I really look at things from as pure moral philosophy of, are they doing any harm? Are they engaged in fraud? Are they trying to coerce somebody through force or threat of force to do something? And if the answer to those questions are no, I don't really have any reason to be up in their grill and yell at them about what the hell they're doing. And this is a deconversion issue, because one of the things that I was taught for a long time as a Christian, is this is bad behavior. I'm not supposed to support this. I'm not supposed to do this. And so a lot of times I ask for people who are in that community to be a little patient with me, because I'm coming out of a 40-some year fog, trying to find my way and trying to get my feet underneath me. And that's probably, if I do have a complaint against that community, is when you have that community coupled with the wokeism crowd. They tend to not have any patience with people. Oh, you used to be a minister, so you're spoiled goods, And it's like, no, I just don't see that. People have to learn, and they evolve, and they grow. And, that truly is kind of, where I stand with things. So it's kind of one of those things that I'm still exploring and still looking at. But at the same time, I can be very supportive of those people that have already made that journey and have moved on. I want to respond right now. I don't really have a comment of the day, but I've had a couple of my atheist folks on various videos I've done make the assertion that it's kind of a waste of time to talk to theists at times. And I understand that frustration, except I'm kind of living proof that you're wrong. I was talked to by atheist friends. I engaged them in conversations when I was a theist. And I just want to let everybody understand here, the reason I started this channel is not that I feel that I'm really dealing with people that are still theists. I'm dealing with those of you that have come out of that fog and started living a better life. So it's kind of more, looking at it from a standpoint of deconversion and being supportive as much as I can with my videos and whatever comments and whatever I have time to be supportive. I don't really want to fall into the trap of being an atheist pastor, so to speak. I've been down that road, and it's a very draining thing. I'm gonna tell you all to put your big boy and big girl pants on and go live your life. That's going to be a good chunk of my advice. But at the same time, that's kind of why I focused this channel. But theists do come here, and they do want to debate me, and they do want to engage me. And I look at that and I go, it's an opportunity. When I did my reaction to Father Casey, I got a lot more followers in that space bed because they were drawn to that video. And I want to people understand that not all of those people that were drawn here were atheists. And I don't consider dialogue with a waste of time, because I think it's a real black and white fallacy to say you can't change people's minds, that people are always going to be this way or whatever. To me, the process of changing one's mind really comes down to a process. It takes a while. You engage in certain behaviors, you think certain things, and then you rationalize afterwards why it should be. But that rationalization then becomes pre-hoc, where you're going to a similar situation and you change. Usually during that discussion, people don't change their mind. It does happen, but it doesn't. But what I've seen from some of the theists that have come here is that they hear what I have to say, and they'll make some sort of comment, I have to think about it, or I'm really weighing my decision on what to do next based on some of the things you're saying on your videos. And I want people to understand that's why I, started this channel. I was recently watching Aaron Ra react to the same priest I did, and he makes this statement in there, something to the effect of, I'm trying to bring more people to my side of things and away from yours. I want less theists, okay? Because I think it makes for a better world. And I, too, share that attitude. I think our approaches are a little bit similar. I'm more of a street epistemology kind of thing, that I converse with people, and I'd rather have a decent discussion with people. People ask me who makes that difficult, atheists or theists. I said, well, when I was a theist, atheists made that difficult, because I would have some of them get in my grill and talk about how stupid I was to still believe in stuff. And that kind of shuts down all dialogue. I really want to stress this to everybody that's watching this video right now. I don't like personal attacks, because I think personal attacks don't do anything. I think if you really want to entrench somebody in their opinion, attack them personally. because then it'll just cause them to entrench. You hate me, so therefore, F you. And that doesn't help. But when you have an honest, genuine dialogue, people may not change their mind in that moment, but they will go away from that, sit down and think about it. And they may change their thinking about it over time. I think too many times we're trying to change people's minds in the moment and in the instant. And, that's just not going to work. And I think that's why I tell people in the LGBT community to be patient with people that have deconverted. They're still sorting through these issues. They're, if they're like me, I had to start sorting through LGBTQ issues just a mere 6 years ago. I haven't had necessarily all the time that a lot of people have had to sort through those issues. So, and it's not a full-time gig either. I haven't always sat there and thought about this as, for forever and ever. The idea of thinking about something all the time is just ridiculous. But a certain subject all the time is ridiculous. But it's just like, you need to understand that that's kind of, the way that it works. It's kind of a process of changing one's mind. And you can't assume that it's just going to happen right then. All right, that's it for today. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. I appreciate every like, share, subscribe, hit your notification bell, do the things that you do. Anything you do gets the channel more and more noticed, and this allows me to see more subscribers come. It's been really an interesting ride this last month of watching my subscriber total basically double in a single month. And I want to thank everybody for doing that. I appreciate everything that you guys do. You're also just a way of notifying you, and you can follow me on Facebook, and I appreciate that too, because it's a good way to, if you want news about what's going on a little bit in my life, that's usually where it happens, not here. But I try to be as transparent as possible on all my platforms, but on Facebook, I kind of, that's a good way to personally message me, and that's what most of people have used it for. Is it's a platform to say, hey, Ed, what's up with this? And it's happened. And so I appreciate all that too. And I just, once again, thank you for stopping by, and hopefully I can convince you to be a rabid atheist like myself. In the meantime, this is Ed Rabyd, also known as the Rabid Atheist, signing off and wishing you a good day.